Morning or time. Now we're going to move on to the laws of Chinuch. Chinuch is to educate our children. The Torah tells us in Pashat Veit Hanan in the Shema, and to go, and the Torah tells us you have to go and teach the words of the Torah to your children. And also it says in Mishneh, Chanoch lenar pitako, gam ki yaskin lo yasur mimena. The person has to make sure to educate his children and according to each one's own path, own personality. That way, you mechanech him, you educate him while he's young. That way, when he gets older, the pasuk says he won't leave this path. He won't leave the way of serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You have to teach them even before they're Bar Mitzvah. Bar Mitzvah is when he's obligated from the Torah. But before Bar Mitzvah, he's exempt from the mitzvot. He's a katan, he's a minor. Nonetheless, we have an obligation to educate him and to make him to start to do mitzvot even before Bar Mitzvah. That way, he'll already know. He'll come to day one of being Bar Mitzvah and Bat Mitzvah, and they already know what to do. So therefore, it's an obligation. There's a machlokes of Rishonim actually, if there's an obligation only on the father or even obligation on the mother also. As Rashi in Masechet Chagigah says that there's an obligation of the mother also to do mechanech, do chinuch, to educate the children in mitzvot. But the Tosafot Yeshanim and many other Rishonim argue and they say no, it's only on the father. Nonetheless, it's a mitzvah for the father to go and to educate his children. Is it mitzvah d'oraita d'Rabbanan from the Gemara Masechet Sukkah? It sounds like it's a mitzvah midrabanan, only a rabbinic mitzvah. The rabbis made this mitzvah in order that a person should be able to educate his child. This child should know already more or less what he's supposed to do once he becomes of age of obligation. But in many situations, the obligation is not just to teach them how to do mitzvot. Like a child who's already age of mitzvot, if he comes to shul, he should be wearing talit, he should be wearing tzitzit. Like the Gemara Masechet Sukkah says, a child who knows how to wear tzitzit, wrap tzitzit, so he should wear tzitzit, the talit gadol on Shabbat, and the tzitzit during the week. A person who knows how to be without his mother, Shulchan Aruch writes, he's obligated in Sukkah also. So even if a child is during Sukkot, he needs to eat in the Sukkah also, even though he's a child, because of the mitzvah of Chinuch. The question also is, what about negative transgressions? Shulchan Aruch writes in Siman Shin Mem Gimal that a person is obligated as an adult to stop his son from doing sins, from doing Torah prohibitions. The Mishnah Berurah says, he says even the Rabbanans, even rabbinic prohibitions. You tell him you're not allowed to eat, this is not kasher, you're not allowed to do this action, this is breaking Shabbat, you're not allowed to do this. You have to rebuke them and make them realize the severity. Now, chinuch is not just to yell and scream. Chinuch is to educate. Chinuch means to inspire. You have to tell them a story, you have to tell them the sources, you have to tell them the reasons, you have to tell them and explain to them and make them motivated to want to keep the mitzvot. It's not just to yell at them, nil zeh, nil zeh, nil zeh. You have to go and explain and inspire, and that way when he grows up, he'll say to his children, you know, my father told me this is a very important mitzvah. He told me why we do this. He told me what's the meaning behind it. And that way, when it comes from his father, and how much more so his grandfather, Gemara Masechet Kiddushin says, anything that you learn from your grandfather, a grandson learns from the grandfather, he feels as if he received it in Sinai. It's like it's so ingrained in him what his bobo said that he'll never forget what his bobo said. And the same thing with the father. When the father learns of the son Torah and educates him and sits in Shabbat table and spends time to learn with him, he'll never go and leave him. He will stay with him, as the pasuk says, Gam ki yaskin, even when he gets older, lo yisur mimena, he won't turn away from it. We'll speak about these halachot in the coming days.